Welcome to FM Thoughts, a podcast about thoughts on Football Manager. I am JM Thoughts, and today I am joined by three other people. It's incredible. I am joined by, first of all, top left for me, which is the magical and majestic Mikaelinho FM. Hello and welcome.
Hello, thank you very much.
Lovely to have you. Mikaelinho is a Twitch streamer. Then we have the gallant and grafting G&G. Welcome.
Hello everyone, thanks for inviting me here.
G&G is pumping out a considerable amount of YouTube content and streaming. And then we have the gregarious and genius FM girl, Alice. Welcome.
How's it going? I think gregarious might be a little bit too much. I don't think I'm quite to that level.
Oh, we're just flipping it. We're flip reversing. You've gone all the way on the introvert scale out the other side. It's fine. Alice is the host of the WFM Show podcast, and many other wonderful things as well. Welcome. This is a bit of a weird podcast episode where basically, like FM26, it's a bit weird, isn't it? Like, this has not felt like a normal year. I was having a great time talking about FM26 for about 3 or 4 episodes, and then kind of like a lot of FM content creators crashed and was like, oh, this is not normal. Some of you have gone through that process. Some of you have just carried on like it's not an issue. So I guess my first question is, can you explain a little bit about how many saves you have played, how much you've played FM26, like a very kind of top line, what's your relationship with the game? And I'm going to go first to Alice.
My relationship with Football Manager 26 is kind of like, I think this is probably going to be the case for a lot of us here. It's quite a mixed bag, really, isn't it? Like, we all went into FM26 with the switch to Unity, really excited and rearing to go after FM25 was cancelled. I don't think any of us could particularly wait for it. And then it came around and was, at first at least, extremely disappointing. But over the course of the lifespan of FM26 was 7-8 months, something like that, roughly about that, I've kind of really started to love it. Don't get me wrong, it still has a lot of flaws. I will not argue with anyone about that, but it definitely has gone back up in my book, and I'm starting to make my own fun. And I think that's kind of what we've always have to do with FM anyway. And yeah, I'm getting back into love with Football Manager, and I've got a save going on at the moment. I'm really excited for it. It's my offline save, no pressure around having to make content or having to share that with anyone. And so that save has really just got me so involved with FM26 again, and I'm starting to work out how to replay the game.
Interesting. G&G, does that sound familiar or not? When we spoke, when the game first came out, it was kind of like bit of good, bit of bad, just different. Is that still how you're feeling?
Yeah, that sounds exactly how I'm feeling towards 26. I can still remember that first night of the beta release when I thought I cannot play this game. I thought there's no hope. I'm going to have to just find something else to put on YouTube. But yeah, so I played, between the 2 saves on YouTube and Twitch, I played 24 seasons now. No trophies nearly, but yeah, there's parts of the game I hate, there's parts of the game I love. But I think, as Alice said, it's about creating your own story, your own fun, your own headcanon, really. So on Twitch, it's about, I've done a save where I can only manage clubs on an island, so there's been background looking up clubs in that, which is away from the game, really. So part of that has brought the joy to the save, which has kept me going, kept me playing. It's definitely not winning games that has kept me going.
Mikaelinho, I'm suggesting maybe a different feeling, but I don't know. How are you feeling about FM26?
Well, it's a bit of both, actually. I do recognise what both Gingy and Alice are saying, but I also have a little bit of a different take on it. I also think it's a mixed bag, but I think that I early on was one of the people who hated on the game the least. I kind of found it enjoyable from the get-go. but in a different way than previous versions. I agree with you that you sort of the immersion and the story doesn't jump into your lap in the same way as it did previously. You need to work more on your own to make up the story and the lore, the things that at least gets me invested. Like you said, G&G, I need to do more sort of offline investigation into saves to get more immersion. I've only done one save really, and I've kind of, over the time, I kind of grew a little tired of the game. Like I said, I didn't love it at first, but I didn't hate on it as much as the general player did. But I've kind of, once the only save I've done with Catania started to kind of, the team started to become a little bit too good. The challenge wasn't there anymore. And I think this is the first version where I didn't immediately feel like I wanted to jump to a new save within FM. I kind of felt like I'm going to close the game now and see when that sort of yearn comes back, and it hasn't come back yet.
I think one of the reasons I really wanted to get you on the podcast, Mikaelinho, is because you were so different at the start of the game cycle to most other people. You were playing the game, you were having enormous success in the game, you were loving the game. I don't know if those two are correlated. And everyone else was like, how do I play this? I hate this. And you were like, this is brilliant. And like you were kind of plowing through all the streams. And then, yeah, suddenly you were like, oh, I've won Serie A. I'm a bit bored now. And then you had the contrast of like anyone who's listened to the WFM show, like Alice, your crew have kind of like warmed up a little bit. You've done the network save. You've kind of got a little bit more into it. And then I've seen kind of just this like incredible, as I say, kind of graph from D&D. You just keep pushing through, keep doing the saves, keep doing the stories. So it almost feel like you've got kind of start warm, drop off, start cold, warm up, and then a kind of consistent up and downiness from G&G. I don't know if that's fair to say, but I think that's one of the reasons why I thought it's interesting to get the three of you. Alice, is that a fair reflection of your thoughts, or do you have anything to come
So something interesting that has happened over the course of FM26 is that not only do we have FM26, but my content around FM26 is vastly different to how it was. You know, before FM26, I streamed FM24 fair bit. I kind of stopped life, full-time work sometimes does get quite a lot. But when FM26 started, I started the podcast, right? So I started the WFM show with Ank and Katie. And what is really interesting is I never realized how much different the experience of FM would be sharing it with other people, talking about it on a regular basis with other people. Like Aunt Katie and I think we have a really good rapport. And when we're talking about Football Manager, I start to get like more hyped when I'm not playing it. And I think sharing Football Manager with others, not just streaming, because like, let's be honest, when you're streaming, you're sat there on your own and yeah, you have a chat, but it's not quite the same as having like a full vocal conversation with other individuals. And so for me, Football Manager is now yeah, I do have my offline save, which I am enjoying, but it's the multiplayer aspect of it. You know, Aunt Katie and I, we have a Succession save together with Barry Town, and I can't say I'm so hyped, so raring to get the save back from whoever has it last, and then handing it over to someone else. That's just so much fun.
Mikaelinho, you've done a lot of big collaborative projects in the past around Football Manager, which you haven't done this time. Do you think your relationship would have been different if you had? What has held you back from doing something like Paradiso on FM26?
Yeah, good question. I definitely think my experience would have been vastly different if I would have done that kind of sort of collaborative project as I've done in the past. So this time around I've only played the game, not sort of created any world or any nation or anything like that within it. And the reason I haven't done that is because I simply don't trust the game enough. I certainly don't trust the pre-game editor enough to sort of venture out in that kind of project. I got a little bit burned from I don't know if you remember the sort of American Soccer League database I worked on for several months until I all of a sudden did something in the pre-game editor which completely broke the entire database to a point where I just couldn't salvage it, and that kind of sort of threw me off a bit and made me hesitant to do something like this when it's so unstable as it is now.
You said G&G you've had 24 seasons or something like that, 25?
24, yeah.
Seasoned veteran.
Have you noticed any issues with the game in that period in terms of...
I've been lucky enough. I think I've only had 3 crashes in total. One on stream, which was probably the most annoying, but yeah, I've been lucky that way. But yeah, there's been plenty of bugs and annoying things. Like even on stream yesterday, we had a penalty shootout, and you're going around the team talk, and it's telling you you've utmost faith in player number 3, you know, and things like that just take you out of it a little bit. So yeah, there are bugs like that, and the UI, the back button on UI, sending you back to the start, but yeah, I guess I've got used to the frustrations a little bit. Yeah, I think as well, as Alice and Mikaelinho has been saying about community around the save, I'm not sure if I'd have played as many seasons offline on my own, because with YouTube and with Twitch, other people get involved in the saves and they get behind the save, and you feel like you're playing with them as well, and that kind of makes you stick with it through the frustrations with the game. I think I might have given up by now if it was offline. Yeah.
So speaking of crashes, I've had several over the last week, potentially related to the update. I couldn't tell you. Maybe it's my computer, maybe it's the update. Who knows? But in some of these crashes, all of them have been after something bad happened. And so it was kind of, it was not as bad as rage quitting, because, you know, I couldn't help it. It was the computer that did it.
Yeah. I seem to recall your crash D&G maybe wasn't an opportune one on stream.
I think we'd won a game and we had to play it back and we lost it, so I went with the result.
On the playoffs, so it was something really...
Yeah. I think, it was the Champions League with Tromsø, and we missed out on goal difference. But we would have went through if the game hadn't crashed. That was it, yeah.
I don't think that affects. If it crashes and it's like, oh well, what a shame, I'll have to replay that game I lost. It's like less annoying than when like something amazing happens and then it's like, oh great.
I think we may have to be getting used to crashes and bugs again when the update comes next week. So that may be something. There may be a lot more around the corner.
I think that's partly really on my mind at this point. Is I was having some interesting conversations with people on a Discord, no, I think it was on Reddit, about FM27, and people expecting FM27 to be amazing. Like, that were saying like, oh, you know, this is gonna, like, you know, this game's been a bit wobbly, or I haven't chosen to buy it, I'm gonna buy FM27, it's gonna be great, or I can't wait for them to fix all the UI problems in FM27, and I'm like, I suppose, how make or break do you feel this World Cup update is in terms of like SI's reputation? So I think quite a lot of people, I'm certainly going to try the game a little bit more again when the World Cup stuff comes in. If that's bad and glitchy, how bad do you think that will be? Do you think people will just go, yeah, it was a mess anyway, or do you think it will be proper pitchforks out times?
Can I be honest? Can I make a confession? I won't be touching it. Like, international football has never been my forte with Football Manager. I think I remember a save many years ago. We're talking like Football Manager 2013 or something like that. So maybe as late as 2016. And I did a Honduras save, which was quite interesting and fun. And it was quite unique in that they were a playable nation, but they didn't have much of a pool. We're talking like 35 players max. That's your pool. And so I like the idea of kind of just being stuck with this small selection of players that you just had to make do with what you had. But since then, I can't say. Even Wales, I never been interested in doing a Wales save. I like going in Wales and doing like Barry Town or Cardiff or something like that. But the actual national team. But that said, I do get people's frustration with it not being in the initial release, because there are a lot of people that do love international management when in Football Manager. For me, it was very much a case of I like it there in the background where my players are going off and having their international matches, and they're going off on international duty, and I've developed them, and I kind of like feel quite proud when they've gone and earned themselves their first cap, even though they'll never thank me for their first cap. They'll thank the international manager. That was me though. That was all me. Yeah. But yeah, I'm not about that. The international life. I don't want to, because I think probably maybe one of the issues I have is how limited it is. Like, there's not much to do on international duty. You know, you're stripped of a lot of the things that you would do on club management or what an actual international manager would do. For example, international managers would still have training sessions with their players. They would still build up a rapport. But with international management in Football Manager gone by, I've never felt as though as the international manager, you have any kind of rapport or relationship with those players. You don't get to see them on the training ground. You don't get to tell them what you want from them.
Some of that is changing in theory from what I've seen. So it'll see if whether they implement that, it'll make it any better. But yeah, I mean, it's an interesting. I was definitely annoyed about international management not being there, but I know there was actually a surprising number of people like you were kind of like get why people are annoyed, but it doesn't bother me. I was going to say it's really interesting because we've obviously got Alice is Welsh, we've got Ireland, we've got Sweden, England, Switzerland. I was like, oh, we can have a conversation about the World Cup, but without being too bitter about it. We kind of can't because some of you aren't in the World Cup. But that question occurs to me, like, are those teams not manageable? Like, because the list, they've said you can manage all the teams in the World Cup except one. We don't know what that one is. I don't think they've announced what that one team is. But does that imply if they haven't made the World Cup, screw you can't manage them? And that, if it is the case, will be really interesting and actually potentially controversial. Like, oh, you can now play international management, but screw you if you support Wales or whoever else because they didn't make the World Cup. We don't have the license. You can't play as them.
From what I took from the update notes, that international management is just coming to the game, but the reason they're talking about the World Cup is because they're making a big deal of it because it is World Cup year.
They have the license maybe for those teams, but
so
but it's still playable.
I think you can just manage any playable nation just like you could in previous football managers. Like the one where it says there won't be at least one of the nations won't be playable. Do we know who that is? Because I imagine it'll probably be a team.
It's Japan.
Is it Japan?
It's Japan, yeah.
I think it's a license reason, isn't it? So
yeah, it is. Yeah,
saying it would be Japan or Germany or something because they have like a separate license agreement.
So then that's interesting because then you'll get to play like nations like Caracas, which would be quite cool. Like this really tiny nation that's going to probably, unfortunately, get destroyed in the World Cup, and maybe you could try and get them through to the next round.
As someone who really likes international management in Football Manager, even though it was a complete mess, one of the things that I did notice and did annoy me is that the number of manageable nations was kind of shrinking. Like, actually, if you go back to FM24, you can't manage that many nations. There's actually a lot of nations you can't manage. And this is a massive improvement, but it'll be interesting to see. I don't know why that was the case. Maybe it was a license thing. I don't know. But like, if you go outside of Europe, there's loads of countries that, even big national teams that were never manageable in Football Manager, which I always thought was kind of interesting. G&G, you were talking about possibly doing a network save with international management. Are you excited?
No. Next question. No. I'll have a look at the World Cup mode, but that's about it probably. I have no interest Ireland aren't at the World Cup, so I have no interest in the World Cup. Yeah, it's going to be integrated into your currency, but I have no real need to go and manage a country. I can't imagine England hiring the Banbury United manager anytime soon, unless Tuchel has a disaster. But yeah, I'd have a look at the World Cup mode. As in terms of is it make or break for SI, I think it's probably too far down the line for it to make a difference at this stage. Even the reaction to Japan not being in it, it's pretty negative. So I think it's all relying on FM27 more than just the World Cup mode. I think the mood has been set about FM26 for a lot of people. I don't think a World Cup mode is going to switch that around.
Hasn't Japan always been a non-playable nation though in Football Manager? Because I remember in FM4
I think so.
When I did the Tokyo Dragons, none of the players in the league, none of the real life players were ever called up to the Japanese national squad. The only players that would ever be in that squad were new gens. And I think for the longest time, I think Germany were an unplayable nation as well. We've always had it. We sometimes have to understand that Sports Interactive do they have to keep within trademarks and licensing rules. They can't, no matter what their intentions are, no matter how many good intentions they have of trying to get everything they can into the game, sometimes it's just going to be out of their hands. And I think the licensing around it is definitely something that we can't really, or at least I can't criticize SI for. You not everything is going to be within their control.
I feel like there's plenty of things that are more within their control that is worth having an axe to grind on. I suppose we're kind of starting to edge towards one of the questions I really kind of wanted to get into, which is kind of like looking ahead and the relationship with Sports Interactive. But before we do that, as we've kind of spent 20 minutes looking at FM26 in its current form, I suppose my question, I'm going to go to you first, Mikaelinho, is how would you describe this game? Would you recommend it? If you were to pick 3 words to describe it, what would they be? What's your overall feeling having played a significant number of seasons? All of you have played multiple seasons in the game.
Ooh, that was a difficult one, and I'm going to answer it by not answering it and reverting back to international management. I'm going to answer it, but I just want to spill my guts on the new update as well. I think that the little reputation that SI has left to save could potentially be ruined in one particular way, I think, and that is if the international management mode is even more downscaled and more console-y, if you get what I mean, than in previous versions. I think they could burn even more bridges. But I do think they can save a little bit of what they lost if they create a more sort of immersive international management experience. I agree with Alice that international management never really did it for me, because it was pretty much just picking out your squad and then playing the games. Nothing in between, and nothing to sort of work with the players, work with the relationship of the players, train the players, do sort of some kind of in sort of national team specific tactics, nothing like that. So if they manage to get some of those things in, I think they can save a little bit.
Also, you do get the press on your back for not selecting a 39-year-old that has 1 star.
Yeah. So exactly like real life then. I agree with you that the media are vultures. But I would recommend the game. I think I would recommend it both to new players and to sort of seasoned veterans. I still really can't get over the fact that I don't know this version like the back of my hand, because I'm used to that. That's also been a bit of a struggle for me when streaming the game, that I sort of get stuck in a menu and I want to go somewhere else and I have no idea how to get there, and it's, at least for me, based on previous experience, not really intuitive either. Then someone in the chat sort of writes, yeah, you need to hit back and then go to match day and then go to the second menu on the left and then the drop down and then press that button 3 times and then back again and then you'll be there. So that really that's the most annoying thing I think about this year's game. But I have enjoyed it and I would recommend it.
So there was a really interesting argument that Miles would keep bringing back when he was when we talked about the UI, and he would always talk about, oh yeah, you have the bookmarks, you have like your bookmarks, you could just bookmark stuff, like everything you could bookmark was easy to find, everything that you wanted to find that was difficult to find, there was no way to bookmark it. So I was just like, but I want to bookmark this random tab that no one ever uses but me, but I can't
the
bookmark
really hard to
it.
find stuff would have been the more useful stuff to bookmark. That's kind of how bookmarks are supposed to work.
Exactly.
Yeah. The other thing he kept saying was that, like, oh, it tested really well with new players and the old ones hated it. And I've been reflecting on that a little bit because I'm definitely more in the established player base now, but like I think my first game that I played a lot of was like FM19 or something like that, maybe FM18. And I kind of still remember going to that game new. And I have tried multiple times to play FM26, and every time I just get frustrated and give up. I've started like 4 saves and abandoned them all because I just get too angry with the menus, and I'm like, I'm knackered after work. I don't want to try and learn how to use this piece of software, which is hard to learn. And I remember it being tricky, first playing FM whenever it was 29, but I don't remember it being this miserable. I think I don't know if that's just my revisionist history there, but I am beginning to, I feel like the shine is going off that argument of like, the new players are loving it. Oh, are they?
So you said FM19 was your first Football Manager?
I think so, yeah.
Oh, my sweet summer child.
I know. Yeah, I'm not part of this established, like, people talk about Championship Manager and I'm like, didn't even know it existed.
See,
so
it's
like,
interesting. It's interesting. We'll go back to that, like, because like in the Championship Manager days, everything was easy to find. There was nothing you couldn't find because it was barely anything to the game, and everything was there was very simple menus and the like. Sometimes I kind of like, it's interesting. Sometimes I miss those days of that simplicity of the UI and that simplicity where we don't necessarily need everything. But unfortunately, I think we're come to a point with Football Manager that we do want more now. Like, I can say that I miss the Championship Manager days or the early Football Manager days. But would I play Championship Manager as much as I do the most recent Football Manager? No, because I want more. I want more immersion. And I think FM26 has kind of failed to deliver on that immersion for us.
Yeah, I think that Alice is right, and I think we have a very similar sort of view on this, Alice, that many of the things that they have introduced now, so sort of put in the forefront, are things that we are not that intrigued by, and many of the things that they have pulled back are exactly the things that we enjoyed the most. But that's not the complete truth for me. I've also enjoyed little bits that I was fairly certain that I didn't care about, at least. Sort of, can we call them the sort of, I know that they're not called FIFA anymore, but sort of the FIFA game-like aspects that I didn't really care about, sort of the intros going into games and sort of the listening to the Champions League hymn, watching the players come in and they look a little better than stick figures as they've done in the past, and that kind of really got me going in a way that I was certain that I didn't really care about. So small things I really enjoyed, but in comparison I do play a bit of Out of the Park Baseball offline, which is in a way a very similar game to Football Manager, or sort of like Football Manager in the past, maybe 2018, 2017. They don't develop their sort of game engine. They are all in selling the game as a baseball sandbox game, which is exactly what it is, and that creates such an immersion for me. Sort of to the point that it becomes almost like a parallel universe that I really like to be in. And that kind of feeling I've had with previous FM games, but I'm nowhere near that now. I don't want to live in FM26.
So it's interesting you mentioned about the kind of immersion of FM26, where it's bringing in like to be fair, we've had like the overlays, like that for me is not part of the gameplay itself, but it is a bit of polish that kind of helps smooth the gameplay along. But Football Manager has, even in this latest iteration of the game, has always failed to polish their game. Like the actual, the content itself, the base game, the match engine, you've got a solid enough match engine, you've got the kind of the squad building, the world building. But the actual polish, the actual kind of smoothness of the game has never been there, and I can't imagine is ever going to be there. Like, I kind of want to there's a game, I don't know if any of you have played it, called Ori and the Blind Forest, I think it is.
Yeah, I've heard of this. I've seen streamers play it.
Yeah. It's completely unrelated to Football Manager in its kind of game, but it's a very simple game. Like, there's not like the actual gameplay is it's very barely anything to it. It's kind of like a platform. It's a 2D platformer just with some interesting mechanics, but the game is just so beautiful, and there's so many little details that don't have to be there. There's so many details that just do not change the gameplay at all. Like, the gameplay would be exactly the same, but that detail makes you fall in love with the world. It makes you fall in love with the character, and Football Manager doesn't have that.
Yeah. It's kind of the difference of films, isn't it? Like, some of those older films, this is I don't know why I'm going down this metaphor, but like the old Lord of the Rings films, like every little costume detail was like a reference to something. And then some of the more modern, like Hobbit films, it's like, I don't look too closely at the edges of that because the CGI is a bit crap. And that kind of feels like the two different approaches there. You have some games where they're so beautifully polished, and you go into a little corner of the game and you see like this amazing Easter egg. And then Football Manager is absolutely in the category of, you go into like a slightly weird menu and it's broken. It's like they've papered over the cracks. It's not like, you know what I mean? Like, and that feels to me, I mean, I've been playing a lot of FM24, and of course the thing was with that is like, oh, it's the most complete version of Football Manager. It's I'm so angry with how broken FM24 is, more than I'm angry with 26, because like 26, like, I know 24 was supposed to be done. Like, that was supposed to be this love letter to the game. They had so many extra years to work on that game engine that they wouldn't expect it to do. So why are the player reputations still broken? Why do some of those menu screens break and don't work? Like, that feels a little unforgivable.
That's interesting. That's interesting you to say that, because they've had since like what FM 05. They've had like since FM 2005. When they switched over, that they've been working on that their own game engine. And so
when people say FM27 is going to be really polished, I'm like, have you looked at anything this company has ever done? like FM24 isn't polished. What do you compare? And they've been working on that for like 15 years. They're not going to immediately get it right. It's going to be iterative. And I hope that FM27 will be better, but it's going to be like fractionally better. It's not going to be like a completely different game.
It's a shame as well, because I haven't met a lot of the people from SI, at least the ones that were working there when I met them. They're like really passionate people. They're really lovely people. Like, no matter what you think about Miles, like, Miles cares about the game, like, regardless of whatever other opinions you have about him. He really does love the game he's crafted, and I can see that through everyone that works at SI as well. So for for them to have like worked on the game for so long, and in their, as you said, love letter to Football Manager, their final iteration of their game in their own game engine, kind of a letdown. And like, are we going to have that the same with the Unity in 20 years time? Is it still going to be a buggy mess?
I don't know. I'm interested on that one to hear other thoughts, but I also think I think they're under pressure to try and, it's like I completely agree with you. I think they really care about the game, and I think they've kind of channeled that into adding more to the game. And I think that's come from we want to keep improving it. We want it to be accurate to the real football. We want it to be good. We want people to like it. So we're going to add in and out of possession. We're going to add another 7 screens on the data hub or whatever. It's done with love, but I think that's a huge contributor to why it doesn't feel polished. Is because really was FM26 the game to mess with in and out of possession? Surely just the women's football in and out of possession, so many major overhauls just kept being piled into FM26, and I have to think that's got to be one of the reasons it's a bit of a mess, is because maybe people disagree. I'm very happy to have that, but they not only have they rammed so much into the game over the years, so much new stuff in FM26 that I almost wonder if it, I don't know, I don't think it could ever have won really with the expectations, but I wonder maybe if trying to add all of the complexity of FM24 and more into FM26 on a system that they were still learning, they had to bring in external contractors to help them get it over the line who didn't know the game. I don't know, man. Yeah. You're on mute, by the way, Alice.
Sorry. Unfortunately, I think they kind of had to there, to bring in that complexity. Because I don't know if you know this, JM, but as a community, we are a fickle lot.
Really?
We are, yeah.
What?
Yes, yeah, indeed. I know, shocker, right? Who would have thought?
You can't just come out with that.
And if we're not given at least 5 new features every Football Manager, we're just gonna actually lose it, and we'll say it's the worst FM ever. And had they come out with FM26 with the new Unity engine, moving away from their own engine, and not had any features, not had any new features, it was the same old FM, I feel like it's going to fail, especially given because they were moving into Unity. A lot of the issues that they've kind of ironed out over the decades with their own engine, they've sorted that out. When you move to Unity, some of those issues are going to come back. So you've now got a game which may look relatively pretty, at least compared to old standards, but no new features, and it's a buggy mess even more than FM24 was. It kind of feels like, had we not had the new features, even if they weren't completely perfect, everyone would have seen that as a massive step back for Sports Interactive and the franchise as a whole. And potentially, I think that could have had a lot of damage for their overall player base.
So do you feel they ultimately made the right decision then? Would you recommend it for 26?
It's a difficult one to answer. I think ultimately they did, because as I said, we're fickle. We're never going to be pleased with what we've got. We're never going to be perfectly happy with it. But had they not given us these new features, which ultimately may have made the game a little bit more buggy, we would not have been happy.
Do you agree with that, Junji?
Yeah, I do. I think if it was 24, which was ported over to 26, I think there would have been as much of a backlash, if not more. I think, look, we've seen the community aren't exactly patient, or at least some of them aren't. I think you have to bring some new features. Maybe they bit off more than they could chew, but look, they've maybe set the foundations for the future in one big go. And if they can improve from here, Look, I just thinking there of when we spoke at the start at 26, I remember using the word unfinished a lot in that, and I would probably still use it to a certain degree, not necessarily on the UI issues, but about how maybe the soul of the game would say hasn't been finished just yet, and that's where the immersion comes in, the building your own world. You know, it's maybe not there. You know, you spot a player and you're suddenly looking at the Honduras under-19s or something like that, and you're lost in that for hours. That's maybe not there at the moment. That's part of what FM is to people. It's building a world to escape your world that you're in already.
So this is kind of a what do you want to see in FM27 question, but I suppose more broader, which is like, what do you think Sports Interactive need to do to improve the situation, like to either improve the game, improve the relationship with the community? Like, do you think that they should focus in on that, and that should be where they should go with the next game, or what could Sports Interactive do to make you excited and happy and pleased with them?
I think if a clean up of the UI to make it maybe less clunky. It feels clunky. As Mikaelinho said, trying to find something isn't intuitive anymore. You go to think where it is and you're lost, and yeah, if you're on stream someone knows right away, and then it's right in front of you, you're still looking at it and still can't find it. Maybe that's just me, but yeah, I think if you cleaned up the UI, make it more intuitive, bring in some of that immersion back into the game, you know, as I said, there is the foundations there for a future of FM that is a promising 4-star potential maybe, but yeah, I think...
What are we at now then? 2? 1/2 stars?
I'd have to ask the scouts.
Too late for that kind of question today.
So it's an interesting question. It's like asking us what we want from Sports Interactive, what we think that Sports Interactive can do better this time around. And the problem is, I'm not 100% sure they can. Because, like, if they could, surely they would have already. And if they're not, why are they not? Like, that I think is, like, kind of the question, like, I would throw back at you there. It's like, if Sports Interactive aren't giving us the best of what we could hope for, like whatever we want in FM going forward, why aren't they giving it to us? Because, like, let's be honest, they know what we want. Like, well, I hope they do anyway. And like, I like it going back to us being fickle. Like, do we even know what we want? We have to ask ourselves, what's making this difficult? And if they're having these difficulties, like, what more can we expect from them?
I have some thoughts,
Okay.
but Mikaelinho, do you want to come in on any of that?
Yeah, I want to continue on what Alice said. I think that a large part of the player base sort of saw this new, it's a very obvious new direction that the game is moving into, so sort of taking the game into the modern era, or whatever we should call it. But I think that many of the sort of old player base saw this move like SI saying, well, you are telling us what you like and what you want, but you don't know what you want. This is what you really want. And I think many people and many players didn't like that kind of approach, and the fact that they didn't like the experience made it even worse. You understand what I mean? Trying to sort of write on our noses that you don't really understand what's best for you. This is what's best for you. Go with it.
It's an interesting impression, and I know there are people that have that impression. I think in answer to that question, I kind of refer back to the conversation I had with Pokes FM about Sports Interactive's communications, their PR strategy, their content strategy. Like, I feel like, I think your point is spot on there, Alice. Around like, surely if it's obvious, they would do it, and if there's a reason they're not doing it, if they're not doing it, there'll be a reason. We don't know that reason, and I'm not convinced that they always can't tell us what the reason is. And I think that's where part of the problem is. That I think I quite like Miles, but I think he is the company's reflected a lot of his personality in the communications, and right now he is hiding under a rock, and the organisation is kind of doing that
Again.
Pokemon. Yeah, I would want. I want a bit of confidence from them. Like, actually, but not in a like a really like. I don't know. I think they both feel very defensive and deflective with their statements at the moment, but they also feel a little unsure. But what we're not getting is, I don't feel like we're necessarily getting the behind the curtains that they kept promising they were going to show us. It's almost like they're scared that now what's behind the curtains isn't pretty, that they don't want to share with us. But I almost think like there are ways. Lujo, who does FM content, also does Lego content, and he released a video recently about how all of the releases from Lego are really negative now because the hype trains, the leaks, like everybody brings their expectations up, and then a Lego set comes out and they go, this is rubbish. And I feel like there is that big internet culture element that SI are going to be battling in the modern era of no matter what they do, there's going to be a bunch of people that don't like it. No matter what they do, the ideas that people have in their head might not live up to the game. But there are some techniques and there are some video game studios that try to counter that by doing genuine dev diaries, genuine behind the scenes, authentic interviews, where they might actually, like, I would absolutely love someone from Sports Interactive to come and explain how horrible it was moving to Unity in a diplomatic way, like not to burn any bridges with Unity, but like, here's the reasons why we couldn't just do it in 6 months. Here's the reason why this feature is really buggy. We've spent years trying to get it better. We're proud that every time it gets a bit better, but this is why we can't figure out why to get it 100%, and we're hoping we'll nail it next year, but you know what, we might not. Like, I want some of that personally.
So I like that. Like yeah, we need SI to be more visible, because they've not been visible over for a lot of the release of FM26 to be fair. But I think kind of part of the issue lies, and again it's going back to the point where I do like Miles. I think I've had like several very in-depth conversations with Miles, and
we're gonna get some great YouTube comments from people.
but
stop defending Miles.
I don't think Miles should necessarily be the face of Sports Interactive, and I don't think, like, and again, I feel really bad because I do like the guy, like he's a nice enough guy, but we need Sports Interactive need to give us a different direction. And if you're talking there about expectations, like trying to manage the expectations of the audience, I don't necessarily think Miles is the way forward for that. So I don't know what it is that they have to do, because I also don't want it to be a corporate message. Do you know what I mean? Like the typical like
a visible community manager, though, that might help.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
A lot of video game studios have a community manager who will talk directly to the community. They will do their own videos. They will be a named person, and SI has dabbled in community management, but never in that kind of way. It's always been like, we will talk directly to a handful of people, or we'll kind of do it, we're just going to talk internally to our volunteers. They've never had somebody who will, like, almost has a content creator element to them as well, who can be the named person. And some of these studios, like I can't remember the studio that makes Civilization anymore, but the Civilization CK3, like, they have community managers that are named. Like, they're not like the polished face of the organization, but they're another voice that you hear from. And that feels like diversifying that portfolio. And they were starting to do that with like some of the vlogs and stuff, the little videos they were doing for the release of FM23 and 4. I started to be like, oh yeah, that's one of the guys. I recognise him. He's been in another video. And then all of a sudden, when FM25 didn't come out, it was like, lock down, everyone, head down, nobody. You're not even allowed to tweet on your personal LinkedIn anymore. Like, it was just like suddenly everyone disappeared, and you couldn't hear from anyone. And they even like downed their own accounts for like 8 months, and I was like, this was not the answer. Like, this was crazy. I don't know whose decision that was to just hide under a rock. Somebody who was getting advice for what you should do if you're accused of, like, you know, embezzling money and you're having a PR crisis. That's when you just, you know, don't tweet anything. But like, your game's been delayed or cancelled. You don't need to hide under a rock. You need to deal with the fact you're going to get a load of trolls. But I was on side. I was really empathetic with Sports Interactive. And then it's 6 months of nothing, and I thought the studio had gone bankrupt. I was just like, you lost me. In hiding from the people who were against you, you lost the people who were neutral or who were for you. That's my take. And I think similarly, like, I don't want to see this arrogance from them going forward of like, we're right, you're all wrong, that kind of Mikaelinho slightly alluded to. But at the same time, I don't want them to be like scared to put a statement out for the people that are already going to be annoyed with them no matter what they say.
Can I just say I agree about I agree about how maybe Miles shouldn't be the face of the game, but maybe it's ever in all society now, the social media bubble around almost treating Miles like he's a Premier League manager. You know, he must go, he must step down, he must. I'd be very careful of that, because if Miles was to go, what comes in the future? We all know what gaming is like with microtransactions, etc. Maybe we don't know how much Miles could be the one holding that back from Football Manager.
He certainly pitched himself publicly as the person back. I mean, it's interesting because the role of a CEO is a really interesting role. I think he's studio director or CEO. Like, you have that public face, but actually a lot of it is also about the internal relationships, strategic direction, managing your board, like managing the relationship with Sega. Like, you can argue maybe some of that isn't going well, but realistically, we don't know how good he is at a lot of that stuff. Like, actually, I'm interested to know whether Miles is liked quite a lot internally, or I mean, I imagine he's probably as divisive as he is externally, but it just because a game hasn't gone very well, calling for somebody's head as if that's not, you know, his job is not to tweet. His job is not to, like, he has a bigger job, and you can have a conversation about whether he's done that job wrong or not. I would say the fact that Sega hasn't messed with the studio at least shows that they seem to trust him, and I would argue that's probably the most important part of his job, is to make sure the parent company don't jump in and enforce microtransactions or lay everyone off or whatever. So there's something there that we're not seeing that's more complicated than, yeah, let's just get rid of Miles because we're all annoyed. Mikaelinho, what would you want to see in FM27 from Sports Interactive? Any final comments?
The final comment is that it's a difficult question because you need to sort of move away from, if you have a strong dislike around this sort of new direction, you need to distance yourself from that and try to see what can they actually do with this new direction. Like I don't know if it was you, Alice, or you, GG, that said that it has a lot of potential, loads of stuff that could be done. This could turn into a really good product and a really good experience. But if you dislike the current direction, then it's difficult to see what that next step will be that will improve your experience of the game. And I think, unfortunately, I don't know if this is just me coming off as a grumpy old man, but I'm kind of stuck there. I can't really envision what the next step is going to be that's really gonna do it for me. Like I said, I was one of the few people that didn't hate as much on the game in the beginning, and I really liked it, but they kind of waned over the game. And I think my final statement for FM26 is that it fails to create a parallel universe where I'd like to live. And that's very much been what I've enjoyed the most with FM in previous versions. So if they can recreate that, I'd be a very happy camper, but I can't really say what I need to make that happen.
Yeah,
I know exactly what is needed to change this course and direction. Is actually isn't necessarily from Sports Interactive. It's from us, like as a community and as a player base. I do think we kind of have to chill out a bit. Like we were all there for the release of FM26. And I get that a lot of us had our frustrations with the game, but it was a bit too much. And I think if we're going into the beta for FM26, had we not been so negative, then maybe we wouldn't have given such a influence our future selves so much. Like, I think sometimes you kind of have to look at a product and think, yeah, this isn't perfect, but you know what? It could be worse. It could be, it's still enjoyable for what it is. And us being negative about FM26 was never going to make FM26 better. It's never going to make FM27 or FM28 better. It's not going to help. Like, sure, like we can, are Sports Interactive going to listen to us? I don't think so. They'll listen to what we have to say and potentially take some things on board, but will they listen to our negativity, our over negativity especially? Will they take that on board? I'm not 100% sure they will. Like, constructive criticism, sure, but I think with the community, not necessarily all the community, but a lot of it was just a bit forceful. Like, it wasn't constructive criticism. It was just like, this is a bad game. They've ruined Football Manager. Like, why have they done these things? Like, we saw it a lot. I don't think this was quite true within the Football Manager content creator community, but there was a lot of misogyny around women's football coming into Football Manager 26, and that there were people that blamed the failures of FM26 on women's football being introduced. Like, why couldn't you have focused on other things? That kind of mentality, which was a flawed way of looking at it, was incorrect and flawed way of looking at the development of FM26. So I do think for whatever FM27 brings, whatever international football in FM26 brings, I think it's important that we're constructive with our criticism, and we don't instantly try and find a blame. Like, this was to blame. Miles is the problem. Women's football is the problem. The in and out of possession, that's the problem.
I think that's very fair, and I think it kind of taps in a little bit to what G&G mentioned around the relationship to real football and the way that that's going, and the fact that, like, you go through a single sticky spell and fans want the manager sacked immediately. That culture I alluded to with, like, the negativity around Lego sets and all of that it feels like there is a default sort of short-term negative, like, more kind of outrage sphere response. And I think another reason why I picked the three of you is because, like, Mikaelinho, your content when you were doing the Catania save in Italy, you were focusing on the positives. G&G, like, you've been producing a really great, like, Road to Glory save that's just really good fun. Alice with the WFM podcast, like, the stories there, the enjoyment there, like, I did want to take this moment to stop and have a real look at FM26, but I think there is something there about we can choose to continue to linger on the negative, or we can look at the positives and the optimism. And I think for me personally, going into FM27, I'm trying to be open-minded, and I almost think, like, I don't know whether the FM community will respond in this way, but part of me wonders if now we've sort of recalibrated the bar, can we be maybe pleasantly surprised by FM27? Like, I think the worst we could do is hype it up and then be angry about it again. Whereas if we just take it for what it is and look for the positives, we might actually find we're quite pleased with it.
As much as I'd love that to be the case, it's not going to be, is it?
Well, maybe we could just need a schism from the rest of the FM community. I don't know. Thank you very much for joining me. I've really appreciated all three of your thoughts today. Do you any final closing comments, and also can you let people know what you're up to and where to find you. So G&G, final words, what you're doing and where can people find you?
People can find me on YouTube, FMG&G, doing a save day with Banbury United. And then I'm on Twitch Monday, Wednesdays and Fridays at 2:30, doing the save. Islands on the stream with Cagliari at the moment. Come and watch me fall into more and more despair every day.
It's going well then.
Yeah, very well.
Mikaelinho, what are you up to?
Not much. Streaming on Twitch, Mikaelinho FM. Not streaming FM at the moment, but that will surely return. My advice to everyone, to continue on what Alice said, can everyone just hide their effing pitchforks for the release of FM27? Please, just put them away in a drawer or somewhere for a little while and see, sort of, can we come together and create something positive? And I'm going to try to be a force in that. Not to linger on the stuff that doesn't work.
Alice?
My final comments. I would like everyone to have a bit of compassion for those of us that never made the World Cup. So
Yes.
we don't
Yes.
have. So Wales are not in the World Cup. You know, we failed to qualify this round, so we're not in the sticker book. So I don't know where this came from. I don't know how this exists. I got given this the other day, and it's a Wales sticker pack. I don't know if there's a Wales sticker book or a poster for it to go in. And I have a funny feeling this exists just because Wales never got to the World Cup. I bet there's a couple of countries that have these bloody things. So have a bit of compassion for those of us that never made the World Cup. But you can find me over on the WFM show with Ank and Katie. As I tell everyone, Ank and Katie, they're the real talent of the WFM show. I'm just the glue that holds the show together. So please come over to the WFM show, check it out, and I think you'll really love what Ank and Katie have to say.
Thank you very much. I'm going to play a sound effect. I don't even know if it's going to come through, but for the 3 people who will get this and enjoy this.
Stick a book, stick a book, stick a book. Stick a book, stick a book, stick a book.
There we go.
Anyway, lovely stuff. I was not expecting us to make a last-minute diversion there into Welsh stickers, but I'm delighted that we did. And I hope you all have a wonderful rest of the week. And I hope anyone who's listened to this found it interesting. And please do share your thoughts in the comments. I'll be back at some point with some other people. Well, probably. I mean, it could be some of these people again. I don't know. Probably other people. Go well, everyone. Bye. Thanks.
Take care.
Bye.
End of the podcast time. Oh, if you're still listening, thank you so much. And thanks again to Alice, Mikaelinho and G&G for making this episode happen. It's been one that's been on my mind for a while after a slightly odd journey with FM26 personally. Obviously I'm not making content on it. But we shall see. Maybe I'll make monthly podcast episodes about Football Manager regardless. I'm genuinely interested to hear what your thoughts are on the game, so do put them in the YouTube comments or send them on the Spotify feedback form. But there's nothing more for me to say other than goodbye again, and I hope you have a wonderful week, whether you're at the start or the end, or whatever you've got planned. Bye!